So have you guys ever heard the Norm Macdonald joke about the frog that needed a loan from a bank? So it's amazing. Allow me to be the one to share it with you. All right. So this frog, he lives in a pond, and he's not like the other frogs. He's a bit of a loner. He's a bit of an artist, and he's been kind of creating these little decorative ornaments or tchotchkes or knickknacks, you might say. And he's pretty impressed with them. And actually, some of the other frogs are like, you know what? Like, you're living a different frog life, but they're pretty impressive little knickknacks you got there. And he's like, well, thanks, man. And one frog in particular is like, you probably could sell them. And he's like, you think so? And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I don't mean, they're expensive to make. I don't have the money to make. And he's like, well, see if you can go to the bank and like get a loan for one of these. And, you know, he's like, well, I don't have any money and I'm a frog, you know, like, what do I use as collateral? He's like, well, you have a couple knickknacks already. You see if you can use the product as collateral. He's like, well, fuck it. You only live once, right? So he goes to the bank and waits in line. He gets up to the front of the line and the lady says, next. And then the frog jumps up on the counter. You know, it's like, oh shit, it's a frog, right? And the frog is like, good morning, ma'am. I'd like to get a loan. And like, what do you want a loan for? He's like, well, I create these decorative ornaments, these knickknacks, and I want to sell them as a business, and I need a loan from the bank as to make them, and the only collateral I have are the knickknacks themselves. So he gives them, and she's like, well, as sure as my name is Patty Black, I have no idea what the fuck this is. Let me get my manager and see if he has any understanding of these or the value of them. So the manager comes out and he looks at him. He's like, oh my goodness. And she's like, you know what this is? And he's like, of course I know what it is. She's like, well, tell me. And the guy says, it's a knickknack, Patty Black. Give the frog a loan.
I've been gone for a month and I come back to this.
I enjoy that one.
So the joke of it is how long you can get people to stay invested in the story just to end with some bullshit, you know?
That's funny.
Anyway, the three of us are together again.
It's been a long time.
So it's going to be biannual?
Been a wild month or so, I'd say.
So usually we go, you got your coffee first, how was your nerd week? But I think because you have a nerd month and Joey and I have nerd days.
Nerd 2 days?
Nerd 2 days. Yeah.
Maybe you should go first.
So we record on Friday and this is Monday morning.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm off today because I was out of town this weekend, so I took today off. So it worked out perfectly. Yeah, wow. So, since I've last talked to you guys, I have been to, several places and attempted to go to others, and I'll get into that. So, I went to Des Moines for a week.
Lucky.
Yeah, it was honestly pretty uneventful. You know?
No shit.
Yeah.
You don't say. Des Moines?
Des Moines.
It's not the Des Moines I used to know, I bloody tell you what.
At least it's a named town, like a name that people recognize.
Right. Well, technically, it was another town outside of Des Moines.
Okay, see that one. Name that one. And that.
It was Ames, Iowa. Is where
Ames is lit. We all know.
Yeah, no, it's not. I will say,
no, it's not.
I had never been to a Menards. You guys heard of Menards before?
Negative.
So the reason I've heard of it is they do some advertising on like NASCAR and stuff, and then they.
Don't say it.
Well, it's
target audience.
Yeah, legitimately. And then I'm in Facebook groups, as you guys may know, and anytime somebody's talking about buying like supplies for building dioramas or whatever, it's like, oh, I'll go to Menards and get this, that, and the other. So like, I just want to check it out. It's the craziest place. It's like a Home Depot with a grocery store in it. Honey, I got to stop by and get some 2x4s after work. Can you get a gallon of milk while you're at Menards? It just seems so foreign, but
it's like Amazon.
It sounds like it would work.
No. Apparently it does, because people love it. People love it. It was a very interesting experience. They had a great spray paint selection. I'll say that.
Good.
And honestly, it was, I was out there to do literally an hour worth of training 3 days in a row. Spent a lot of time in my hotel working on other presentations and stuff, and took some people out to dinner,
Yeah. Schmoozing,
basically. That's about it.
Rubbing elbows. My dad used to say, keep your shoes dirty and your knees clean.
That's fair. I keep my shoes clean anyways, but on the weekend, I actually went back through like my where you been Google thing, and I'm like, oh, I didn't do shit, so I didn't do anything that weekend. we've just been building dioramas for the show I went to, basically when I was home. Following week, went out to California, flew out to Orange County for a meeting out there. It's my first time in California.
Oh,
I could
really?
Definitely tell why the weather is so damn appealing. You know, there's not like bugs everywhere, and
because the temperature gets hot, but it's a dry. It's a dry.
Well, you're not. Well, I will tell you from having gone to Phoenix this year, that dry heat's still a motherfucker. But I mean, it was 60s to 80s every day, and you know,
until this the earthquakes on a fire,
sure,
drought,
$6 a gallon gasoline.
I think their environment just is a drought.
Yeah.
They just forcefully even have grass there.
They don't have water. The water that services California comes from like, I don't remember what state, but it's like they've built
which is ridiculous that they have lawns and shit. They insist on having lawns.
Not all of them do.
Not anymore.
So Caleb, when he's out here, he's always like, he always talks about, he's like, I'm just so amazed at how green this area is. He was like, where we live, like grass is a sign of wealth.
Yeah.
You know, so like if most people don't have grass, so if you see somebody with grass, you're like, how do you do, Mr. Frenchman? I bet you have a garage too. What do you call it? A soda holder. I mean, a car holder. God damn it. You know how I fucked that up? I fucked that up from a Cameron lyric. He said, "Flavor Coca-Cola, garage, the soda holder."
Oh.
Oh man, sorry for missing the Cameron beat there. So I had a good time out there. You know, I was with the team, basically people who do my old job but cover the West, and they have had a lot of turnover out there. So I hadn't met a lot of these people, and that's an important relationship for me to build with my job. And my boss's boss was there, and his boss was there, so it was always nice to, you know, have some conversations with them. Everything went good. You know, we did 3 days of meetings. They were doing like part of our company. And I mean, I think it's cool. We do like community service kind of deal every year. So they were going to do that, and I'm doing that later. So I'm like, I'm leaving. So Thursday at 9 a.m., I get an Uber to drop me off at John Wayne Airport. That's what it's called.
Is it named after John Wayne?
Yeah, I would assume so. That's John Wayne's a California guy. So, and I fly to Atlanta. Whereas I, on the way, went through Detroit, which I would much rather do that than ever go to Atlanta. I've been fucked so many times at the Atlanta airport.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
Surprise. Shit didn't change. So there was some weather, and they weren't letting people land, so we had to circle for like 30 minutes. So we did land, and we were late. I always leave myself 2 hours between flights if I go to Atlanta.
Yeah. Some people book them back to back. I'm like, bro, you're
yeah. I mean, if it's a smaller airport and I have 30 minutes, I can probably make that work. But, you know, you got 5 terminals. There's a tram that runs between them, and you know, let's say I'm at A47 and then I got to go to D47. I'm going to have to be hauling ass, right? Give myself plenty of time. So we actually landed 30 minutes late. I'm like, cool, I'm still in my window. And I look my flight, which I think I was supposed to get back to Baltimore about 11:45. Just a late flight, but, you know, it is what it is. This flight goes from like 9:30 to 10:30 to 11:30 to like 12:50. I'm like, at this point, I'm going to get home at 4.
Right.
Fuck it. I just took Uber to the Holiday Inn, crashed at the Holiday Inn, wake up. Oh, and I rebooked my flight. They had a little thing on the app. You can rebook your flight, no charge. I'm like, okay, there's an 11 a.m.
This is no charge. Yeah.
I can get home by like 1 o'clock. I'll be home by, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And luckily, I didn't check my bag. I had it with me I did a carry-on. Because if I had checked my bag, I would have been...
Yeah, that'd have been it.
Shit out of luck, right? I'd have been wearing the same clothes for 3 days. But I wake up that morning and CrowdStrike has happened. So they had sent the updates to the airlines and bad. Like I took pictures in the airport of just the blue Microsoft screen.
Oh.
You know, the blue screen of death.
I was having bad times because I couldn't sign on to Minecraft that day.
I mean, we all have our baggage and our demons.
Dude, you really are the child of adversity in many ways.
You are. So my flight went on that, and I think Kelly called and woke me up. It's like, have you seen what's going on? Because I was like, there's no reason for me to get up super early. I mean, I'm 5 minutes from the airport. It's, if I get there at like 9:30, I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is when you depend on your app to be your boarding pass, it won't let me do it. It shows the flight, but it's like locked up and shit. So I'm like, I better go on over to the air. Well, at one point in time, they had like there was nothing even on the schedule. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'd even call my brother-in-law who was like an hour. Well, I was 30 minutes south of the airport. I'm like, is it cool? Like I'm hanging out at your house till this gets figured out? He's like, yeah, no problem. Long story short, the flight's populated again. It was now like a 1:00 flight. I'm like, okay. So I go to the airport and I'm expecting just complete chaos, right? But I walk right up to somebody in a Delta, get up. I'm like, hey, how do I get my boarding pass? They're like, just go over here to the thing, type in, do you have your confirmation number? I was able to find it. And I got my boarding pass, paper pass. Long story short, 3:00, we finally took off. So I got home at like 6, I think.
So that's like 24 hours later?
Yeah. So tough day. I think it was like, I don't remember, 20-something hours from the time I was at the airport in California to when I got home.
Just such a waste of existence.
It is. I mean, and honestly, it was a lot worse for a lot of people, like people whose flights got canceled that, didn't have any other option. I mean, I was looking at renting a car and just driving home because I didn't know what this was going to do.
Right.
Wasn't any cars to rent.
Right.
Nothing.
But that was your work, so like your work knows the situation.
Well, I mean, at least I'm not having to, pay this hotel out of my pocket or anything. Too. And truthfully, I probably would have navigated a little different if that had been the case. But I'm on company trip, so
and you weren't like worried about having to make it to work or something.
Exactly.
Or like at a wedding or some shit like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I come home and I'm home Friday and I leave again Monday. So I just basically like wash my stuff, and I'd repack my bag. I've gotten like real nerdy about packing my bag since I do it so fucking often, and I'd gotten all that done. I was ready to go. Mm-hmm. That's essentially what I did. Is I washed my stuff and packed it back in the bag because I needed. And it depends on what I'm doing and who I'm going to see. So I took the Carhartts instead of the dress pants, and just You
didn't pack a Mac in the back of the act, did you?
No, I didn't. Okay, no,
it's dangerous.
So I have a 6 a.m. flight to Fargo on Monday, the Monday after that whole fiasco. Which it was either I leave at 6 a.m. or like 6 p.m. I'm like, I'd rather just get there and get it over.
Yeah.
So the night before on Sunday, I checked in my flight and everything, and they bumped it to like 7:10. I'm like, okay, that's a little easier. Which that means I don't have to get up quite as early. But
what are you flying out of?
Flying out of BWI.
Oh, okay.
So I get up, I go to the, got my bags packed, 4:00 in the morning, leave the house, right? About an hour there gives me 2 hours. And I normally cut it pretty close, especially if I'm not checking a bag, because I, pre-check and I just zip right through.
Yeah.
So I'm not an issue. Get there, park, pre-check, go in. I'm like, all right, I'm super early. And I'm weird about it. I always go to the gate I'm going to leave, just like, I just want to make sure there's nothing weird going on here. And then I'll go, like, get some food or a drink or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool to do that. I go get some breakfast, sitting there playing on my phone. I got my laptop out, did some work stuff. And then I go, there's like 30 minutes until boarding, and I just go sit at the gate. I will say that I was flying to Minneapolis and then connecting to Fargo, because apparently you can't just get to Fargo, which doesn't really seem surprising. So I was going to miss that connection by the flight being an hour.
Oh, shit.
And they're like, you just have to talk to them when you get there. I'm like, and honestly, it's a 3-hour drive to Fargo. Worst case, I'll rent a car, drive to Fargo, because I had a rental anyways.
And company's paying for it,
and then I'll just, drop the car off at the airport, and when I'm done in Fargo, fly back. So it's like so the flight's supposed to leave at 7:10. At like 6:45, there's a bunch of people up at the desk, obviously with everything going on, right? So I didn't, I'm sitting there, I have in one earbud playing on my phone or whatever. And then I hear there's 2 ladies at the desk, and one of them says, if you need to get your bags or bag check, whatever number, we're going to go over here to the next terminal those computers work. Okay.
Those computers work.
I'm like, what? So I walk up, and there's another lady there. I'm like, hey, just to be clear, is this flight going? She's like, no, she said 2 times you canceled it. And there's like 5 of us around that we're like, I didn't fucking hear anything. I'm like, I didn't know that. All right, fine. She's like, I was like, well, is there another flight later? She's like, there's another one, but it's already overbooked, and it ain't looking good. It's even going to leave, and there's nothing tomorrow. I'm like, fuck. So I just decided to go home. I'm like, I go home and try to figure this out. I'm not going to get anything done here. So I drove back home. I called my boss, told him what was going on. I called my point of contact for where I was going. I'm like, hey, I can't get there today or tomorrow. And I was talking to my boss. I'm like, I'm just going to dial in and do this stuff remotely. He's like, yeah, it's no big deal.
Should have just done that to begin with. It's no big deal. No big deal. What do you mean no big deal? You had me fly out there for something that's no big deal to do at home.
I know.
Get the fuck out.
Same thing. So, long story short, I stayed home and ended up doing all that stuff remotely. I had to dial in every day and do this hour of training. And this crowd is like, the worst thing about doing a presentation is nobody. Like, hey, how many of you were doing XYZ? Crickets. How many of you were selling this? Crickets. So my line I started using when I get anything. Jay is the guy, the big wig there. I'm like, Jay sounds like nothing but opportunity. So yeah, that was an interesting haul there, but yeah, probably the worst in the travel obviously is that kind of stuff.
Back to back.
And who could ever determine that would happen? That's just happenstance. Yeah. And of course, I'm in the busiest airport in the country when it happens. And all things considered, it might not have been the worst place to be stuck because you do have, it's a Delta headquarters, the resources there. I will say one funny thing. When I was in Atlanta, there was a guy coming around, apparently the IT guy. From what I understand is the way this worked is you had to go to every single place where this had happened and manually change something. It wasn't like they couldn't send out a patch or anything. They had to manually, let's say this laptop was affected, they had to come to your laptop and so there. And I wish I'd taken a picture of it. That blue screen of death was up, where it would say Gate 27, Des Moines, 745 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was watching what he was doing. And I could see the taskbar at the bottom. And this was a 2-screen deal, you could tell. But the Firefox emblem was highlighted. So I'm like, they're using Firefox to work around this Microsoft patch.
Of course.
I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
The Firefox fixes everything.
I listened to this podcast on Fifth Column, but it wasn't a political podcast. Yep. It was some guy, he worked in I don't know as much about the behind the scenes of the punk culture as much as I wish I do. I know a fair amount of the music, but I don't know a lot of the ins and outs of it. And this guy was he was one of the go-to engineers during the punk scene. And he was talking about, and he's been making music forever, and he's done orchestral stuff. He's done everything. He's well established. He just passed recently. God bless the dead. But he was talking on there. I only bring it up because of the Microsoft thing and to allow you to take a breath and have a fucking sip of coffee. But he was talking about how they asked him what does he prefer, and because he's been working in music for so long between analog and digital, and he was like I appreciate both. He said what I love about digital is how much of an equalizer it's become. Where
the little slides
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Where a kid can save up a couple $100 from a part-time job and get all the instruments he needs now to create music and then post it and find an audience.
Yeah.
Which would have been impossible just 20 years ago.
Sure.
And he was like, even my digital recordings, I tend to make analog copies of them. He was like, because the thing with digital is I don't feel like I'm making music that has the ability to last because everything is perfect now in terms of our society and streaming platforms, and we're all connected. He was like, until something happens and we're not.
Yeah.
And then we've lost it all. Yeah. And if I have this physical copy of it, even if things go to hell and it stays in this steel container, there's a chance that somebody can find this and bring it back to life at some point.
Right.
And I was like, damn, I'd never considered that. Yeah. Because even I'm very happy that I have all my music saved in my phone, even the digital stuff. I've bought it, so it's there, and I can until it's not.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Things that are connected online, but also that's time capsule for you, right? Back in the day when you put shit in a box and we'll always have this fucking box. But my thing was, most people care about legacy, but my thing is when the day the computers don't work anymore, it's probably not going to be anything you have to concern about for the foreseeable future, anything else other than survival.
Sure, but let's
You know,
say,
but
I don't know enough about computers to be fair, but let's say that something happened and just the streaming services all dumped all their information one night, some glitch, some weird glitch, some viral attack or whatever, and
Yeah.
all the streaming services dropped all their data. Anybody that signed to like Universal, Columbia, the big three, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to be fine. Everybody's just going to send it right back. But like, there's a lot of people I'm sure that make masters, and once it's up there, like, all right, I'll get this off my fucking computer because I only got one gigabyte of space left on this bitch, and I gotta, you know what I mean? Just,
Yeah.
you know, it's just interesting to think about.
Yeah, that'd be just pirate servers will have everything.
yeah,
The
yeah.
pirates will save the day at that point.
Yeah, except like, you know, there's so much. I don't know if everybody has everything.
No, it's about piecing it together, basically. I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to be a digital archaeology.
Yeah.
And again, if the computers die and, you know, quite end of the world type deal and people don't fucking die off, maybe in a couple thousand years we flourish again and dig this shit up. Like, hey, look at that shit.
Yeah,
Look at what people used to make. Like, we dig a pyramids.
Yeah. But that to me is at least like, I'm like, cool. Like there's an ability that somebody can hear
Yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody again. Do you know what I mean?
That's actually one of the animes covered this. Dr. Stone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything got destroyed. People are starting to come back, and they have to remake everything from scratch. And like music was a huge deal.
Yeah.
They're finding records.
Yeah.
Because you can just play with a needle.
Yeah.
All right, so this past weekend, Brian Brink, myself, and Charlie. Well, let me back up. Kelly, Kennedy, and Mason and his girlfriend Jen. They all went to Otakon.
As did Jaina and Emily on one day, and Jaina, Laura, and Jenna, her friend, on the other day.
Oh, okay, cool. I think I knew they were good. I don't know. Anyways, they had a great time. Mason finished his Chainsaw
That's
Man.
a good ass costume.
Yeah, I was going to show Bobby how it came out. I know out of context, you have no idea.
No, I mean, I know the
It's so
character.
like
It's a man with a chainsaw.
Yeah, no, I've
Me,
seen
it's
it.
like back in my day, we don't have no 3D printer. We made our thing out of
Yeah,
elbow
yeah.
grease.
So he 3D printed and
Oh, yeah.
finished the entire thing, and you know,
Yeah, that's cool.
it's like kind of a secondary costume. It's not like the one everybody knows him. He's wearing like a necktie and you know that outfit, but I guess in the manga this is it. And Mason was like, there were some people like, who what character is this? And like he was like fake casual.
yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't
Only-
read the book, don't read the manga the way they watch the anime, and then
Just like a lot of people watch movies without reading the comics.
exactly.
or the books.
Oh, the books.
So then Kelly did 2 days of cosplay. She was and Joe, you can help me out on these characters. She was this person from JoJo, I think.
Oh, that's actually Krista's favorite character from
Yeah.
From part 3.
And then there's another picture of her in that with some other person. And then she was
That's
also
Jolene, named after Jolene.
Yeah, and then she was also
What a song.
This character from
Mr. 3.
No, it's
Bon Clay.
Bon
Yeah,
Clay
yeah, Bon Clay.
from One Piece. And she was like, "Look, there's a picture with so and so." I'm like, "It's really cool. I don't know who these people are, but
I love that she's living the life I lived like 15 years
exactly.
ago. It's great. I'm
So,
happy to see it.
they had a great time."
I love people still enjoy cons like that.
So Charlie, he doesn't like going if it's not in the hotel's not attached because he gets bored and doesn't want to walk around and look at every nook and cranny like they do. So we made the decision he'd go with me and Brian down to IshCon, which is a con it was in Durham, North Carolina. We built an insane amount of stuff to take down there. I wanted to leave at 9. We ended up leaving at 11. It was all my fault because I had to finish up something for this. And traffic was a nightmare down 95. Like Richmond area. We added an hour to the trip. It was rough. So we get there and get set up. They had like a preview night the first night, like 7 to 9. A lot of cons that I've been to do that. Like,
And what was the name of this?
it's IshCon, ISH. There's a guy named Ish.
Like with
Ish.
Amish people, Swedish people.
No. His guy's name's I think his name's Ishwar. He's customer mind, to be honest. He's bought a lot of dioramas and big Mythic Legions guy.
Okay.
So the 4 Horsemen were at this event. They did a reveal. So that was the draw, right?
Okay.
So we get down there and we set up.
Where was it?
It was in Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I'm tracking now.
Beautiful little town. I've never been there before. Nice little downtown and everything. The hotel was super nice. It was at a Marriott. Pretty pricey hotel. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we, Friday night, I think I sold one thing Friday night, but here's our booth. I was under the impression we had a corner. Technically we did, but there was this giant set of dioramas somebody had built, but there was our booth.
Nice.
We got
Corner unit.
a little bit of everything set up there. We basically covered the cost of the trip. Between gas and hotels and food.
I mean, that's a lot.
It was
That's a lot.
disappointing. It was disappointing from that. I was disappointed from that point by the amount of stuff we brought. I mean, we were literally like to the gills in the car, like to the gills. Like poor Charlie's in the back seat. I'm like, listen, if these boxes start leaning towards you, just give them the straight arm, right?
Yeah.
I mean, better have too much, not enough.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just a volume issue. There wasn't enough people there. I mean,
Yeah.
we sold 7 or 8. I mean, $200, $300 items, but.
Right.
I mean, that's to cover the trip at least. You broke even.
And we have inventory. Several of us are. It wasn't just me that didn't sell well. I talked to a lot of the other people I know there, and the guy next to me is actually from Puerto Rico. He lives in Puerto Rico, and so he shipped stuff over and flew in. And he's like, "I'm not mad about the turnout. I'm just mad I brought so much stuff, right?" And that's kind of how we were. I wouldn't have brought 4 of everything and maybe just one. So I don't know. It's disappointing, but. We had a fun drive home. Brian and Charlie never had Bojangles.
Bojangles, yes, the chicken.
So we went to Bojangles and ate breakfast, and we had some decent meals there. And I won't say I feel like an outsider with that crowd, but it's not like because Charlie's like, who all's going to be there? I'm like, nobody else It's all different people. But I have a good group of friends that are there, and it's always good to hang out and bullshit and talk with people. Sure. It was just disappointing from that standpoint, but I
mean, if you broke even financially and you had a good time,
well, and I look at it this way.
On top.
I met people I'd never met before, and people see. I think oftentimes if people just things on the internet are on the internet, right? But if you see them in person,
yes,
you're like, oh, now I get it, right? So. I look at it this way: it's marketing, it's advertising. I shook a lot of hands, met a lot of people. Networking. Guy named Rich, hi Rich, listens to the show.
Oh, hi Rich.
He heard about the show. He came just because I had mentioned it, and he just wanted to come see the show and meet me. So
nice.
Thanks, Rich, for that.
Makes a noise for Rich.
I had a couple other people that follow me on Crashbox said like I've always seen your work. I always I had a guy buy something from me, and then they had a raffle as most of these things do. I had some figures and stuff, and Brian had my raffle tickets. I was watching the booth or whatever, so he's like, I said just see if we win anything. And he comes back with this. He's like, hey, you won. He hands me this piece of paper, and it said 3D head scan at so and so's booth. Like, what's this? He's like it's a 3D head scan. So I got my head scanned. And
do you get it in the digital file?
So I have to pay for that, but he sends me two head sculpts. And I said...
Just get it. Yeah, pay for the digital file,
I said, let me see what it looks like first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll $50, whatever. So that was pretty cool.
Then you can print your own.
For my own, right?
Just put your head on everything, so to speak.
I try to. God bless me, I'm trying.
Well, that's why I said, I'd shaved, I normally keep a mustache goatee. I'm like, I was talking to somebody that was beside me. He's like, oh, they can add all that. They can give you a mohawk if you want. I'm like, oh, okay. We'll just go with it, some stubble, and work from there. I mean, I look at it this way. We have plenty of inventory for our next show, which we're, in JCC in a couple of weeks. I'm taking that down there we're doing the Realm Nation thing. And I have a couple booths. Mason's coming to basically sell his stuff, sell my stuff. And, I told him I'll give you 20% of any of my stuff you sell because you're going to hang out and watch it while we're running around doing other stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. Right now, my only problem is where the fuck am I going to put all this stuff? Because it's like big ass boxes of stuff. So we got to do some rearranging in the shop to make room for all that. But Joey, do you know why skeletons aren't very good at fighting?
No,
they don't have any guts. Figured I'd at least get one off of that.
Do you know why the skeleton didn't go to the dance?
No,
he didn't have anybody to go with.
Jesus.
That one's worse. That one's fucking worse.
That one's probably worse. Observation from the airport. First off, people wear whatever the fuck they want to the airport.
Yeah.
Good.
But I did see a lot of one particular thing, and I think I mentioned this to Joey one night. Is wearing a Yellowstone TV show shirt the same as us wearing a Transformers shirt or an
Probably.
Expanse shirt?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's just
Yes.
nerdy in a different way, right?
Yes, except it's less because Yellowstone. That was like a really popular show.
It still is.
Yeah, it's like the
Kevin
it's like
Costner show.
Farmer Mafia.
They'd probably say Ranch Mafia, but yeah, not.
So
the
I would
sauce.
say it's slightly different only in that it's more widely accepted.
That's fair.
That's all.
fair.
Is it though? Is it?
I mean, when it's the number one show, it's more widely
I don't know,
accepted.
if it's number one movies in the world is Marvel Comics. That were
but
for a while, right?
So it depends. So like I think if you wear like a Batman T-shirt, or you're in the same ballpark. If you wear like something like that, but if I go out and I wear fucking Hush Returns T-shirt,
Yeah.
you know, I'm now nerdier.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I just had that observation while I was at the airport. I watched a couple movies on the plane. I know I watched a couple more, and I can't remember them. The two that I remember is a movie called ISS.
The space station.
Yeah,
I believe that's called Is.
that's If. That's different. Which is on the plane now, so I'm looking forward to watching it. I looked at what the Delta movies are to see, and they changed them. And I can't find the list from last month. They change them every month, so there's some new stuff on there for me to watch the next flight I have.
How was it?
It's awful. So let me paint the picture. So I don't know if it's our space station, but there's Russians and Americans on the
International
space station.
Space Station.
And
International.
It's the
That's not ours. Fuck, it's in a name.
right. When I say
Goddamn
ours,
Americans.
it's not what I meant. I
We
meant
discovered it.
the one that we currently have in space. We as a human race.
There
That's
you
what
go.
I meant. I
There you
didn't
go.
mean.
We're charting in Russia, so let's be nice.
Now, who's being xenophobic now, huh? So the premise is, they're up there and, of course, they're being friendly and this, that, and the other. And, well, nuclear war breaks out downstairs, right? So you look down and you're seeing all these bombs and they can't get a hold to anybody. And then, of course, they get these cryptic messages like, basically both sides is like, hey, we got to take over this space station. Long story, I don't even remember what the chaos is that ensues at the end, but it was a good premise and poorly executed, and the acting wasn't great. I don't think it had anyone I recognized in it, which is fine, but it just it was like, oh, you guys are like 80% close on this being a good movie.
Yeah.
It's like you
You
didn't
had a
do
good,
that.
it's a good
The
idea.
last
Yeah.
thing.
But the thing is, if it's grounded at all in any reality,
Well, it's in space, so that's
got him, shit.
And they can't hear you.
got him, dude.
Fuck.
They can't hear you scream up there either. So
That was-
yeah.
Fuck me. Is that like an astronaut? Well, first of all, I don't think any astronauts learn 0G gravity combat in
No,
space. And
no.
two is like, I don't think anyone is suicidal enough to try to fight on a space station in
Right.
real space.
But we don't know the training that the Space Force is going through.
That's
oh,
right.
that's true.
That's right.
Because like it's
I
fucking
saw
dangerous
somebody
up
the
there.
other day.
I think you turn one button wrong, and I think you just die.
I'd be looking into like super like futuristic weapons for the Space Force, like flaming swords and shit.
Flaming swords. I
I think that's 40K.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's get there.
I don't think you're supposed to have an open flame in there right now, at least. I did see somebody the other day walking or like in their uniform, and they had the Space Force patch on their shoulder, and I wanted to stop. I was like, "What do you do here? Tell me what you do.
What do you do?
What do
How do you
do here?"
I wanted to say real quick when you look at it, they look downstairs and they see that all this chaos is happening. It made me think about one of the craziest reactions I ever saw to anything. I was standing with a bunch of people. And somebody got a phone call and answered it on speakerphone, which I hate anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
But answered it on speakerphone, and it was like his brother, and he was like, "Hey, Doug, where are you?" I shouldn't have said his name, but we're there now. Where are you? And he was like, "I'm just at such and such with a couple guys." And he's like, "All right, you might want to sit down." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Grandma died." And this dude looked at me and went, "Ruh-roh."
Oh my god!
I was like, "What the fuck kind of reaction is the fuck?" Anyway, continue.
Finished. Watched some stuff. I finished The Boys season 4. What a great political commentary, and what a fucking fantastic show.
See, I was disappointed in this.
Okay.
season. And we've been talking about it for the past
month, and just a couple things. So when we figure out that Negan is in his head too. When he turns around and says, "Shut the fuck up, bitch," to his wife, I'm like, Sixth Sense chills, right? I'm like, oh fuck. And then like the dude they cut his leg off, the scientist, who's actually the scientist in Mandalorian too. I'm like, boy, typecasting much? And realize why this guy doesn't want to help him, because you're batshit fucking crazy. There's nobody else here.
Right.
I'm like, oh God. I don't know. That to me was like, you're really fucked up.
Yeah. He is fucked up.
And the tentacle monster and all that. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the path it went, and I think the very ending with Soldier Boy, it's going to be an interesting season 5.
Yeah,
It really
that's
is.
the finale. So I'm here. I'm here for it. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I thought
Didn't like it as much as
enjoyed it.
before.
I just haven't liked it as much as the previous ones, and some of it is because of like, and I've been talking about this, so I don't want to beat this horse to death, but I figured it out. I talked to Joey about it last week. I was like, I've been talking about how like the political nature of it has been I've been finding it irritating. It's been seeming a little preachy to me, which has never felt preachy to me in the past. And I figured out what it was. It's that like they used to take this approach of like poking fun at the political landscape in terms of like consumerism and corporation. So the right caught the shots, the left caught the shots. It
Right.
felt like South Park, and
This
this
you're
one
not part of the system. You're making fun of the whole system.
correct.
Yeah.
And this one felt like, no, there's an election this year. I need you guys to vote a certain way.
Yeah.
So they're actually not out of the system. They've just been pretending.
This one, well, at least this time it felt like it was
it
to
felt-
me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, well, now it seems icky to me. Like you stepped in the mud now.
Yeah.
You know, you used to look back like, look how dirty these guys are getting, and we're all like, yeah. And now you're like in the mud, pointing back at it. It's like, that feels different to me.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I didn't hate it by any
Right.
stretch of imagination.
I mean, I'm excited for how they wrap it up.
Same here.
I mean, I think it'll be, yeah. God and Homelander, Jesus.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, the actor, the performance, it's fantastic.
Funny story. This has come up recently. So the wrestler Cody Rhodes, he's got literally his logo with an American flag tattooed on his neck, and he wears a very comic booky long robe kind of thing to the ring.
Thing to the
And
ring.
years ago. Thing of the ring. I bought the Homelander figure and put a Cody Rhodes head on it. I'm like, and I have it on my, if you go my wrestling collection, he's just kind of standing above everybody, right? Of course, he's changed companies and everything now. He's a huge success in WWE, number one merch seller, number one babyface, world champion. But that's come up recently. It's like, you got
Oh, yeah, I've
some
seen the-
Homelander
yeah,
vibes.
I've seen the memes
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I thought of this like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I have a new category for movies. I did
Okay.
watch another one on the plane, and I probably should have seen this in the theater.
Okay.
I watched Oppenheimer on the plane,
Oof, yeah.
and although it was a good movie,
Yeah.
I don't think it's Nolan's best work, but I will
don't
put
think
the
it's his
caveat that I watched it on an airplane.
Yeah, I don't
and
think it's his
I
best
think
work,
I'm sure there's huge IMAX shots that don't translate well, and I mean it's a good story. It's by far not my favorite movie of his. It's probably not even top 5 favorite movies of his.
That's a good conversation.
The top 3 is the Batman 1, 2, and
So
3.
that's the problem.
That's it.
That's the
it.
problem.
3 out of 5 is gone.
Can we count that as
And then
one?
Inception, and then I'd
Yeah.
say that, and now maybe
Inception.
that.
Can we count that as if we count Batman? So if we don't
Just a
count
Batman trilogy as one.
if we
unit.
count that as one, it changes everything for
Yeah.
me. But if we don't, then it's those 3 are
Those
my top
three,
3.
yeah.
And then probably Memento.
Oh, I forgot about
I
Memento.
forgot it was by him.
That's
I
such a
love
fucked
Memento.
up
That's with
movie.
Trinity
Yeah.
was in there and
Yeah,
Guy Ritchie. Not Guy Ritchie. Is it?
No, it's
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the main guy.
the main guy.
Yeah.
His name is Guy in there, I think.
well, and Guy.
Fox. No,
No.
that's Viva Vendetta.
That's it. But nonetheless, I imagine this is it was a great theatrical experience, and maybe sometimes it doesn't translate that well to, I talked to somebody, I think it was Sam.
Ooh, Interstellar is good too.
And it's Stellar him.
Is that his as well?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck. Then it's
It's
probably
great. It's just like
6th or 7th.
It's
yeah.
just like they have all the sciences right until the very end. It gets fantastical. But I'm like, by that time, by that point, I'm so bought in that I'm okay with
100% same.
Because everything they get did really accurately to
Dude,
like
the-
relativity.
The amount of work that went into that to make that
Oh,
the
and
science
Tenet.
of
I
it
like
work.
Tenet.
Yeah.
I've got caught in some of those little reels and stuff. I'm like, holy shit.
It all works until
Yeah.
the end, where it's just, yeah.
But nonetheless,
I wasn't a huge fan of Tenet.
All right, I'm going to put them in order. I'm looking at them
Yep,
right now.
yep.
Okay.
Okay, for me, anyway, it is Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, Memento.
You just need 5. What's your top 5?
So I'm
It's
torn.
hard to pick.
I'm
There's so
torn
many good ones.
So I'm probably gonna go Oppenheimer as my 5th, and then Interstellar, and then Inception, and then Dunkirk, and then The Prestige, and then Tenet.
Oh, yeah, I'm not even going to go that deep. I'll say The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, and Inception, probably my top 5.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid list.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's all a solid list.
Oh yeah.
Well,
That's-
yeah.
That's just your subjective opinion. But you can pick any of those 5 and be like, that's top 5. I'm like, you're right.
The dude shows up to work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's far from a slouch. He shows up to work.
That's true. I finished The Acolyte.
Loved it.
I'll be honest with you, the last episode really changed my mind about the whole series.
Make you like it more or hate it even more.
No, I liked it more. I liked it more. I really liked we got a nice little Easter egg in it. And, I think it was kind of sort of pretty
Easter eggs.
obvious that there was going to be the switcheroo between the two sisters, between May and OSHA. Of course, this is years before ladder safety became an issue with OSHA, so we get
true.
to see the rise of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. I somehow did not catch that till I heard that someone else say that on a video. I'm like,
Really?
fuck, how did I not catch?
You don't have to
Her
deal
name's
with them.
OSHA.
Because you work at you
Dude,
don't work in
listen.
retail shop.
I've got some OSHA stories to tell you. Talk about a warehouse built in the 1920s when somebody calls OSHA on you and like, this wiring is going to kill everyone here. Anyways,
So for me, the last episode was a nail in a coffin.
I figured it would be.
Partially because one of my issues with this is I don't know how to describe it, making important things less important.
Okay.
So Anakin's sort of miraculous birth now less important.
Yeah, I
because it's
remember
been
we
done.
talked about that, yeah.
So now Plagueis is also less important because he's been monitoring how this shit is done. So now he's just repeating what
He's
someone
copying
else is.
it, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, it makes him less important now.
Instead of him
And-
discovering.
and they're making them both less important with less interesting characters. Had these characters been far more
Yeah.
interesting, I probably would have been okay with it. But because these characters are like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Right.
Darth Rita and fucking
Darth Rita.
John.
I think the thing I'm interested in them
Fucking John.
unraveling is how much about this shit did Yoda really know and not tell? How much of this did he? Because Yoda always, especially in the prequels, he always looks at like almost disappointed that like this shit's happening.
I look disappointed seeing him as a puppet in episode 1.
I'm a puppet.
I'm a puppet. But I'm a puppet. But we're on to the next one. I think the Skeleton Crew comes out in December.
That's in the notes.
And
The pictures are not
What is
good,
this?
man.
It is
What
a-
the Skeleton Crew. They got like Muppet ass characters.
and it's Jude Law is the star of the vehicle, and it looks like it's a ragtag bunch of kids that are up to something. I hadn't.
Look at little elephant dude.
Oh, this is Star Wars.
Oh yeah, it's a Star Wars series.
I think I'm just a fucking boomer at this point. I'm sick of seeing kids and teenagers and shit. They're not important. They're fucking not important. I was not important, and most of these motherfuckers are not
There
important.
was one important kid in Star Wars, and I'm done with it after that.
Yeah.
Sand. That was the most important part.
The kids got them ruin everything.
Well, I did my best to keep up with wrestling during all this time. Honestly, like the Wednesday night show is the only thing I watched religious. Like I missed SummerSlam this weekend, unbelievably. Jelly Roll choke slam somebody at SummerSlam, so my worlds have fully collided now.
He's on somebody's album that I saw.
He's
recently.
on everybody. He's on
No,
everybody.
but this is old. I came across it. He's on I think maybe a Busta Rhymes album.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But like way back in the day, I was
Yep.
like, look at that.
Yeah. I've been fucking with him since like 2012. When him and Lil White put out an album together.
Awesome. He's from Insane. I mean, Hypnotized.
He was the white boy on 3-6.
Yeah,
Oxycontin. Yeah.
That I'm speaking of Busta Rhymes real quick. Next month's Bobby Boogie Bop is on Busta Rhymes. And I always like to ask this of you guys, but I always forget to. But like opener and closer for him like choosing the opening song and the closing song to that show it has been a tricky one for me to figure out. Do you have
Put Your Hands Where Your Eyes Could See is where I would open with.
That's me
and
too.
I would probably close with Break Your Neck.
So I think that's a good choice.
And I'll be honest with you, like I'm familiar with Busta Rhymes as his hits have come out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've ever listened to a Busta Rhymes album. And like you go, Woo-Ha was probably another
Got You
good
All in
one.
Check.
Yeah, exactly. But like the stuff he did, what crew was he? Was it the Fushnicken?
Flip Mode.
That's right. He was sorry, wrong.
Fushnicken?
Wrong skibbity bop guys. Yeah, so real quick on Busta Rhymes, I'd mentioned you at one point in time that Sierra, Busta Rhymes, and Missy Elliott were on tour. Have you seen any pictures from this?
I have not.
I don't know where it was, but there was nobody there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like 30% filled.
So
I've seen like Nelly has done some stuff recently, and there's like no, but it's like, did 50 buy you out too? I mean, that's what it looks
I saw Busta Rhymes live at the Area 51 show. It was a hell of a lineup. It was Moby, Busta Rhymes, Blue Man Group,
Moby and Blue Man Group go together.
and David Bowie.
Okay. Oh,
That is wild. So I will tell you, I saw Busta Rhymes in the P. Diddy and the Family tour.
Oh, no shit.
It was
That's great.
Puffy Mace,
That's historic.
Usher,
Yeah. Locks.
Busta Rhymes. Jay-Z was on the tour, but his bus had caught on fire the night before, so he wasn't there. I do remember the bass from Busta Rhymes set.
It's hot in here.
Yeah.
Too hot.
Take off all your clothes.
Too hot for hip hop. For hip hop music.
good.
So the bass from Busta Rhymes set, like literally, I mean, we were on the floor, but probably 40 rows back. It literally shook my eyeballs.
Oh,
Like,
really?
It was the hardest hitting bass I'd ever felt in my life. But that is interesting.
I
That seems
find
a
it-
very narrow subject for an episode. To
Well,
be honest with you.
so he's got like a 30-year career.
I know.
So the thing is we did 2 months ago, we did Native Tongues, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, all that kind of
I'm
stuff.
gonna be honest with you. I ain't got nothing for that shit.
Yeah, so
It's not my jam at all.
so like I grew up on that shit.
I left
right?
my wallet in El Segundo.
Gundo.
That's
Yep,
it. That's
yep,
it.
Yep. And Scenario.
I mean, there's
and
some hits
Worldway
in there,
Tour.
but
Yeah, of course.
I'm not ever in the weeds on that.
So we did a Native Tongues show, and then we did a New Edition show. And there's actually a weird tie from Busta Rhymes from Native Tongues into Belle Biv DeVoe into
Now you know.
Busta Rhymes. So we're doing a Busta Rhymes, and I'm choosing "Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See" as the opener.
Okay.
And the closer, I was struggling because usually I like to open with like a big like anthem-y song, and the closer I like to close with something that's more like emotional and introspective, like Michael Jackson. I closed with "Man in the Mirror."
Are there
You know,
introspective Busta Rhymes songs, or is he just mostly yell about
so
stuff?
that's the question I got to.
And-
So there's arguably one. It's called "We Made It." It features Linkin Park, and it's a good song, but it doesn't seem appropriate to close a Busta Rhymes show with.
Yeah.
Because that's not the type of music he made. Maybe
this is one time.
maybe to his detriment. But so I'm going to close with that Chris Brown song where he has that feature that everybody tries to do.
Oh, yeah. I was about to ask if you included features because that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I watched an interview with him recently, or a clip of an interview, and he was talking about, like, I think he was talking about that track in particular, and like, is it him, Wayne, and Chris Brown on
Yep.
that? And he's like, I didn't know Chris could rap like that. He's like, you blew me away. He might have gone back and rewritten something because he's like, I didn't know.
They should, if there was ever an example where they should have put that dude last,
Yeah.
because poor Wayne, I know Wayne was probably like, my go?
Wait, did he just like, he's like, man, I ain't even going to try to compete with that shit. Here's my verse.
You can't. It's insane. But anyway,
I guess the last thing of any interest is I went and saw Deadpool. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I'm going to see it again today, actually. I'm going to see it today.
Mm-hmm.
And second time. Yeah. Me and Mason and one of his
They're
friends.
breaking
are
all
going.
kinds of fucking records.
It's number one R-rated movie ever. I think,
yeah, beat out Passion.
yeah, and beat up Passion of the Christ for the.
Well, which is great because he mentions that like in one of the other movies. He's like,
Yes.
we're second, right behind Passion.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have the top 3 openings.
Fantastic. I wonder. I wonder where the song
they gonna go
"Bye
over
Bye
a
Bye" is
billion?
on the Billboard charts this week.
Didn't they change the name of the song on YouTube to include Deadpool in it?
Probably, but like, Kelly loved it. Mason loved it. Everybody, I haven't. And Bobby, I was very surprised when you told me you gave it like an 8.5.
No, I gave it 8. Solid 8.
I figured.
This is an NSYNC by official video from 14 years ago. They included Deadpool and Wolverine in the title.
Official video from Deadpool
Yeah.
and Wolverine.
Get
Good
that
for
money.
those guys. Good for those guys. Yeah, because some of them. I saw a video of Chris Kirkpatrick. You know, he get his ass kicked worse than them little Limp Bizkit bastards. But he basically was at a shopping mall with some random dudes like singing all those songs and doing dances, and like hopefully he gets paid $600 to do that or some shit. But
You were saying that I was surprised to see me give it an 8.
I was surprised. I'll be honest with you, because it's just so crowd nod wink. Like I figured you would find fault in the amount of that.
So I actually think we had a conversation.
And I'm sure you did.
Yeah. But we I think this is fan service done in its best way, where it truly does feel like a service to the fans. My issues with it, I told Joey this, I told the audience this last week, but I enjoyed this movie at a 9 out of 10. But my objective brain is like, you can't call this movie a 9 with the plot of this movie being what it is. But there's some simple things they could have done, in my opinion, to make this thing
perfect. Yeah. What would that be?
So,
well, I will
bit of
say after one watch, I'm 9.5, and it may be a 10 after I see it a second.
a bit of a retread, but for one, there's some plot hole stuff that goes on with
it's multiverse. It's
with the
okay.
multiverse stuff, with the multiverse specifically.
Yeah.
Though, there's like, okay, that doesn't work. But then at the end, what could have made it perfect for me, and we talked about it last week, but is that. So him and Wolverine sacrifice themselves, right?
And his shirt rips off.
Yeah.
And they play like a prayer.
like a
He's
prayer.
like 55 years old, that guy.
Dude.
And they start seeing people through their time, right? And you see Vanessa. If Wolverine, for one, during that would have seen the X-Men together just once,
In uniform.
just in uniform, the X-Men together once. And then they sacrificed themselves, and it slammed the universes together and ended the multiverse. And Deadpool ended up sacrificing himself to save the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
End of story for me.
Right.
But then they just inexplicably resurrect and walk around the corner for no reason at all.
And I know we today recorded top 5 cameos, and I guess to an extent, except for one, we kind of purposefully left out. But I mean, we were in there. It was a Friday. I think we were at 4:00 on Friday, so it was a pretty full theater. And dude, when Jennifer Garner walked out, everybody. I think a lot of people.
It was in the order of wow factor.
I mean, I marked out. When Wesley Snipes walked out, the whole place went, yeah, because he's just so immediately recognizable.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to, like, if she hadn't had size in her hand, people would probably, who the fuck is this guy?
They were there on purpose.
Yeah, and then here comes Gambit. Everybody totally. I'm getting chills thinking about it. Everybody loses their mind from that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Deadpool said that too. She's like, I'm electric. She's like, who?
And she said, like, her Daredevil is dead. I'm like, oh well, it could have been. He was dead in your universe at least. But like, and they mentioned the Punisher. I'm like, oh, that's so fucking.
Yeah,
cool.
got the rocket bazooka from Punisher. Yeah.
And he's like, which one? I'm like, please just say it was Ray. You just got it from Ray, and we'll leave it alone, because I think he did. I love Bernthal's Punisher, but like from the movies, fucking Ray Stevenson's The Punisher Warzone.
That's the worst one to me.
Dude.
I love that's my favorite one.
That's my favorite. Okay, so let's have this conversation.
Fun-wise.
All right, so which
Bernthal
one
is the best Punisher, like objectively, I think.
outside in the movies, not counting Netflix, which is your favorite?
Dolph Lundgren.
Okay, but so
It's not bad.
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
Especially
I know.
watching
people
back.
people forget about it. People forget about it.
So I just have to say it. We're not counting it, but I have to say that the Netflix one is the best one.
Oh,
And
I
it's
agree with
objective
that.
some of the-
some of the best Marvel cinema ever done.
I don't discredit that, but just the
I'm just getting it out of the way.
Just the movies.
I'm probably going to the Dolph one.
Okay.
And then I'm going to the first Punisher movie.
Jane,
Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
He's done the cameos
Kevin
and
Nash
shorts.
is the
Ask
Russian.
him.
When I remember watching Warzone for the first time, and when that guy did a flip between the balcony or the rooftop
and he got shot
and he
by
shot with a
a
bazooka, I looked at my wife and I was like, nope, I'm out. I'm out.
That's
I
a
just
fun scene.
love the brutality. I mean, and I grew up reading those comics, and especially when I got to the Max comics with Garth Ennis was.
I love Punisher Max is great.
So I still would
so
like to see
brutal.
some rendition of the Punisher that leans into the psychopath Max Punisher.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we've yet to see that.
Yeah.
Every Punisher that we've seen is squared away.
Right.
Yeah.
So that Ray Stevenson one, just his outfit. You know,
Yeah. He looked up.
He's there for business, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if you put it in a somewhat realistic world, the guy's got on tactical stuff. He's not wearing a Punisher, a T-shirt. My problem with the Thomas Jane one is that dumb backstory of him go to Jamaica and I bought you this shirt, Dad.
Oh,
that whole thing I just thought was
I don't,
stupid.
I don't like that movie either.
And I think
Was John Travolta?
the scene that killed it for me in that is when
Flaming Skull.
the cars light on fire and it's like, oh, come on. But I don't know. The Ray Stevenson one, like when he's hanging from the chandelier shooting everybody. And at one point he's holding a child and shoots a dude point blank with a shotgun. I'm like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I hate it.
It's so good.
Hey, but I don't like any of them.
Which was that one the one where Wayne Knight played Microchip?
I don't know.
I think that was it. Wayne Knight from it's a guy. Is it Nobody Cares? The guy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
I think he played Microchip.
Newton.
Yeah. Hello.
Not Newman.
Newman.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, Daredevil was great. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again this afternoon. So
Punisher. Deadpool.
Deadpool.
And yeah, to mention people you don't. It's like Magneto. They're going to talk about helmets, right? And she goes, "Oh yeah, she melted it after she killed him." Like,
Right.
that's
Problems with the villain, objectively, just like the villain could be like, problem
Right.
solved,
Right.
But so my objective brain is like, look, there are these issues here. You can't say this is a 9, but my subjective brain is like, I enjoyed this at a 9. I had fun factor 9, enjoyment level 9, movie 8, solid movie, couple little questionable moments, but solid ass movie.
Yeah. I will say I have a lot more faith in what they can do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe than after the last couple. We'll call them missteps, right? And look, I mean, they're very frank about the whole. I mean, in canon or whatever, they're like, we've kind of been in a low spot.
Yeah,
kind of see everybody here
self-aware. There's been this did we talk about it last week? The Kang drama.
I don't remember.
Because there's
Even though it's 2 days ago.
because they're doing away with Kang now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're cutting him. Yeah, which is
I
a shame.
I think it's a shame,
They
man.
spent a lot of time building him up,
and he's a great Kang, and
I think I mean, to a point, wrap that up with that awful Quantum whatever the Ant-Man movie.
but then they also revive it in the same movie. They could have.
They could have.
But anyway, I just and I've seen the debate rise recently that I think is just disgusting. But they let Robert Downey Jr. come back after his, so why won't they let Jonathan Majors? What's the difference between the two? Why won't they let Jonathan Majors come back? They let Robert Downey Jr. after he fucked up. Well, because Robert Downey Jr. spent 20 years being blackballed by Hollywood before he came back. But for one, but for two, I don't think that Jonathan Majors should be kicked out.
In the first place. Right?
Yeah, that was a domestic issue that went too far, but it was no serious injury done by anyone. Shit does happen.
It does.
I'm not sure how it shook out. What the verdict was on.
Weird choice of words, but because he did shake that bitch.
What did Bernie Mac say? I ain't never hit a bitch, but I'll shake the shit out of her.
But I mean, shit does happen in a relationship.
It does, and it's just unfortunate sometimes when you're a celebrity that.
Yeah, I wish
it changes the stakes.
I wish they'd let him come back.
But who knows?
Maybe 20 years.
Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that is the plan. Here's a question, and I haven't talked to any what I'd call normies that have seen it, that haven't seen any of the TV. If you hadn't seen the 2 seasons of Loki.
I was saying that.
I think the one thing
helps a lot.
the one thing that you probably are confused about is and I can't remember her name, the girl at the end that they bring in. They're they don't ever even mention who she
TVA
is.
agent,
the TVA girl from It's just here she is, and they don't even say, "Well, you're in charge now." It's just let's go fix this and.
So I have not seen the second season.
Helps
but you at least knew who she was from those shows.
Is she in the first season as well?
Yeah,
Okay,
she's one of the stormtrooper kind of people.
So I didn't remember her necessarily,
Okay.
but I think there's enough context there for me where I'm like, oh, okay, we knew that person was rogue, right?
Yeah.
We knew that one agent was going rogue
Yes.
off the system, and then here's a person that's still
in
part of the
charge.
system and
Paradox
has some sort of
Reverse.
supervisory element to her coming into. I was able to wrap my mind around that.
Yeah.
So. I thought it was good, man. I thought it was a good movie, and it was refreshing to see a good superhero movie, let alone Marvel, just a good superhero movie.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he puts on the mask, and even that was I was kind of nervous about how that would end up looking, but it looks fucking.
Did you catch any Batman vibes
from
the mask? Joey and I had this conversation about it. I was like, dude, it might be something about masks that expose this part of your face and start doing Batman shit. Because he like put it on. He's like, you got to let me have this one. I'm like, where did that voice come from? You got to let me have it.
Oh, so are you saying that maybe it strangles your vocal cords?
I'm the hero that Marvel deserves.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I guess
it's Marvel Jesus right now. Like, figuratively
And he could have been Marvel Jesus for real.
Yeah.
They could have let him be Marvel Jesus for real.
I hope they break $1 billion. They're like 800 something million right now. That'd be
I'm gonna help out today.
I think it'll break.
Phenomenal. Yeah, you're gonna help. I mean, I should fucking. I might test this tomorrow. I need to. I should be studying the rest of the day, but I'm fucking tempted to go watch a movie with you.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say because tomorrow you could just go and if you feel like you did well, treat yourself, or if you feel like you did poorly, treat yourself.
Maybe that's a good idea.
The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm sure I missed a ton of stuff that happened, but
Yeah.
you know it's been a wild month.
It has been a while. People have missed you. People have missed you.
I'm glad to be back.
There's actually a guy at my work that listens now.
No shit. Yeah.
And he was like,
This show's proper?
Yeah,
not a kitchen table?
So like, yeah, to this show proper. So he joined Patreon for the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, fuck it. I want a little bit from my bang for my buck out of this shit. So he started listening to this one. And I was like, he texted me and I'm going to pull it up because he was
I didn't think the streams cross over like that.
Yeah.
Between the two worlds that much.
No, I wouldn't have thought so either. But hold on one second. I just want to make sure that I read this verbatim. Okay. So he says, do you have a picture with all the guys from Nerve Rage?
All of them.
And I said, yeah. And he said, can I see it? So
we need to take a new picture because I'm really fat in this picture.
So I sent two, right? And he said, I've been listening to it and I just wanted to put faces to the voices. But then he hit me up personally and he was like, dude, the Alabama guy? Who is that guy? He's the best. He's the best. And I was like, well, I got bad news for you, but he'll be back soon.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just transparently, I was showing you guys, like, I should be good for like 2 or 3 more weeks. And then, September is fucking nuts for me.
Yeah.
I'm traveling like crazy, but fourth quarter, I'll probably be around a lot. So you'll get the winter vibes, the fall vibes. From me, so.
There you go. Joey.
No. Well, it's been 2 days. I got to study for my test tomorrow, so that's my nerd week.
Yeah.
And then maybe afterwards I'll go watch the movie.
All right. Well, let me tell you what I got. Let me look at my notes here. So I haven't been consuming any media because I've been just doing research for this Busta Rhymes show.
Busta Rhymes.
Yeah. Which has been enjoyable to some degree, but I've also found out something about him too, where he's kind of a Beyonce type artist where he doesn't really divulge a whole lot. Like, yeah, I'm like,
don't know much about him,
I don't
actually.
know much about him. Like,
doesn't
some of his early years he'll go into, but like once he gets on, because anyway, he has an interesting story because he was signed to Dr. Dre for a while. He was signed to Cash Money for a while. He was like,
I didn't realize he was that Cash Money.
and Motown for a while, and and all this stuff. But like he obviously left all of them at some point, and doesn't really talk about exactly why, So anyway, I've been consuming a lot of it, but it hasn't really necessarily been answering a lot of my questions.
A little bit of that can be, I think, it's respectable to like just not air dirty laundry.
Well, yeah. So there's that, but here's the other thing because he doesn't do a whole lot of appearances either. He still has a bit of mystique.
Which is rare now.
It's rare.
Yeah, as long as he's been around.
It's rare, and I miss artists with mystique. Like Manson still has some mystique. Hove still has some mystique. So anyway, it was an interesting process to go through for what that's worth. Baby said something funny as shit. I just got to get it out the way. So my wife enjoys Sauvignon Blanc on a really hot day. Right, like a white wine, but like a dry white wine on a hot day that's chilled, right? And one of the things that she does to sort of doctor it up is she'll take some fruit, peaches, berries, whatever, and she'll chop them up and she'll throw them into the bottom of the wine, and then she'll drink the wine and then eat the fruit afterwards, right?
Fancy.
Yeah, she loves it, sort of thing. Well, Jaina was sitting at the table and she was like, could I try one of those wine-soaked strawberries? And Laura's like, sure, and got one out and gave it to her. And then Jaina gave her a strawberry to replace it with, which was thoughtful of her in a rare case of thoughtfulness. For any of my kids, it's just not me. And then the baby was like, well, I want to try one. And Jaina was like, well, you're too young. And I was like, well, you're too young. And then and Jaina was like, well, yeah, but then Leia was like, well, who cares? And then Leia was like, the law cares. And then the baby went, well, the law's not looking. Give me strawberry.
That's funny. We were. I was taking Charlie to get a haircut Thursday, and I guess the power had gone out in Mount Airy. Like, we went in Safeway, and there were no lights on. They had some like emergency lights on. People in there shopping with their cell phones, and we just had to pick up a prescription. Went back there and got it, and like, I can these coolers. I hate it for them. They had a tarps over, and they had the freezer aisles blocked off, and
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot. I mean, that's probably $100,000 or more worth of shit that's going bad. I'm like, I hope they can get these coolers on.
Yeah,
it's starting to stank in there. But
that's bad.
So we are. They got roads blocked. I don't know what the fuck happened. The MDOT was out there doing a horrible job directing traffic, and I saw a state trooper put flares up to try to get. Anyways, I had to do an illegal U-turn to get back to where we needed to go. I'm like, well, that was illegal. And Charlie's like, then why did you do it? Because nobody was watching, and in this situation, nobody cared.
Because Charlie, the circumstances dictate the action.
That's exactly right.
Charlie and Leia, this is polar opposites.
Yeah. That's how I live. I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, as long as you can make the circumstances dictate your actions, you can get by in life. So I had another kid story. So Jaina went to Otakon Saturday. So my sister-in-law bought her a surprise Christmas gift of a 1-day ticket last year, and was going to come down from New York, spend the day with her, go to Otakon, spend Saturday, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then we started feeling bad because Kelly had asked if she could go, and that was after, but they had talked before, and we didn't know that she was buying these tickets, and it's like, fuck. And then Kelly was like, well, but Mason and his girlfriend want to go, so there might not be room for Jaina. Anyway, there was a whole thing surrounding it.
Sure.
And but it kind of felt like Jaina got shortchanged a day for this one event that she likes to go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Laura was like, well, fuck it, I'll take you. I'll take you Sunday, and why don't you see if this friend of yours wants to go? So they take this friend, and the three of them go. So
that was yesterday.
So Saturday, they went, and my sister-in-law, God bless her, she drove down from New York, crashed at my house, woke up, drove to Washington, did this fucking convention, drove back, and then drove back to New York the next day.
Okay.
But around 11 or so, she starts asking Jaina, hey, you hungry? And Jaina's like, no. She's like, oh, okay. And then Jaina's like, did you eat those nuts that you brought? She brought a little bag of nuts. And she's like, oh, yeah. And Jaina's like, well, here, have my carrots. And we gave her this bag of carrots. And then she ate the carrots, and then finally was like, Jaina, we can go. Jaina was like, we can go to lunch. And she was like, she went and got a coffee and a Danish, I don't know. And then Jaina got a coffee and a cookie. And Jaina ate her cookie and then had her coffee. And then my sister-in-law was like, I think I'm going to have one more coffee.
just stay out.
So my one thing I want to say about my sister-in-law, she is chic as fuck. So she's
an artist.
Right? Yeah, and of sorts.
Yeah.
But she she only wears black. It's head to toe black all the time. Different shades of black, different variations of black, but she only wears black, and it's something cool about that shit to me. Anyway, so they're walking back to the convention, and these people approach her about donating money to the Special Olympics. Now, my sister-in-law grew up with two friends who both had a special needs younger sister, and both of them participated in some sort of athletic endeavors given their circumstances, right? So my sister-in-law has a soft spot for it. So she's like, well, I donate to a lot of stuff kind of already, and they're like, yeah, well, it's important to do this, that. So she's like, okay, fuck it. I had $10 for coffee. I can have $20 for a donation.
Right.
So they give her this iPad to put in her information and blah, 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 and put her credit card in and all this. She gets the iPad and she's looking at it. She's like, I only see, she spins it around for him. I only see a $25 donation, a $35 donation, and a $50 donation, and they're all set for monthly.
Oh, wow.
I want to make a one-time donation, and I'd like to donate $20. And they were like, well, we really frown on one-time donations.
Oh, I'm done.
Because they're only, there's it only averages out to be about 13 cents a child or some shit like, and then, but she went around the clock with them because she's a nice person, but ended up not donating anything.
Right.
Well, so Laura went the next day and there was somebody else there kind of doing the same shit, different cause.
Yeah.
And it was some medical thing. This isn't what it was. But let's say it was Parkinson's. Okay. It isn't what it was. Okay. Something else.
Shaking in my boots.
Yeah. So Laura's walking down the hall, and the person's like, has her laptop. She's like, excuse me, ma'am, are you familiar with Parkinson's? And my wife went, yep, and just kept going.
So I had something similar happen this weekend. We the show didn't start on Saturday till 10, which was kind of nice. Well, it ran till 6, which kind of wasn't. Mm-hmm. But we were like, well, I was telling Brian and Charlie, man, listen, we can go to a breakfast spot. We don't have to eat at the hotel or whatever. Mm-hmm. So Brian's like, well, I found this place, chicken and waffles place. It's, it's a 7-minute walk. We're like, okay, cool. So we get up and there's like a farmer's market down this street. There's a bunch of people out, and long story short, we walk down there and they don't even open till 10. So we ended up getting a biscuit from a food truck, which was fantastic. But someone was like, "Hi, can I talk to you for a minute about Planned Parenthood?" I said, "Nope," but I'll give you a high five. And I gave her a high five and just kept on rolling. And Charles was like, "What was that?" I was like, "It's the easiest way to get out of that kind of conversation." Brian has this great thing of people that are like asking for money, and we're at a show or whatever. He always says, "Oh, I'm from out of town," and just keeps on moving. They always just seem so confused by it. But I always say when people are like, I'm at the mall and people are like, would you like to try a perfume or whatever? I'm like, oh, my mom won't let me. And I just keep on walking. They're like, what the fuck?
Jana had a good time. She dressed up both days.
Nice.
She had a good.
Did they cross paths?
So, well, my bunch wasn't. They were going to go back in on Sunday morning, and they were all like, oh, fuck yeah, we're done. So nobody went on. They went on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Jana, she had a good time. She said she had a good time. One of her favorite artists was there, so she got to meet this artist and all that. So that was cool. But she was disappointed. I'm trying my best to get this right, but her quote was, "I was disappointed with the overabundance of internet culture layered over top of anime culture."
I mean, that is the culture now.
No, like Skippity Toilet.
Oh.
Like, okay.
I thought like the internet, like meme culture. It's like internet. And anime. They've always crossed paths.
Yeah. So she was kind of like, a lot of it seemed like cash grab stuff over like
that's unfortunate.
Had it been 10 years later, it might have been or 10 years later, crowd wise, age would have been like the Hakutua girl, like all on different t-shirts and
sucks.
She was at SummerSlam.
There you go.
Did she get SummerSlammed?
I think she was just in the crowd, but I did see that. So it's funny, Mason. A couple things that I was told about that is, and forgive me, I think it's a Jujutsu Kaisen character that Charlie likes, and Kelly was telling us that it was very hard not to find just nothing, but there's a ton of ship art for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, any like popular character.
He said it was to a fault, and then Mason was excited. The person who does the American voice for Chainsaw Man was there.
Oh, cool.
And he was like, I had just gotten in the line, and they came down and said, him and someone else, it's like, hey, they're only signing for, I want to say it was 7 Deadly Sins, because they're contracted here, because they were contracted. So they couldn't sign anything because Chainsaw Man.
That sucks.
So he was like, well, I was going to have him sign my helmet, but no.
Can't. And 7 Deadly Sin is awful now. It's been awful for a while.
I didn't even know.
So I guess they forcibly found to advertise that shit.
If they're paying these people people, you know, that studio or whatever is paying them to be there for the sign for that.
They couldn't pay for the animation. That's what's goddamn sure.
I know nothing about it.
But Sunday,
that was interesting, I thought.
Laura overheard this girl that they took say something that, I mean, made Laura feel good that she brought her, but the girl was like, you know, like Jana's friend was like, I guess they asked her, like, you know, how'd you like it? She was like, it's great. She was great. Like, I just don't feel like a loser here.
Right.
And I was like, damn, like that, you know, that has value.
That's cool.
I mean,
Kennedy brought a friend who's not into anime, but she dressed up as some Call of Duty character, and what did Kelly said? She was a real trooper. She never complained about anything. She doesn't really know what
Call of Duty, real trooper. I see what you did there.
And I guess she had taken a picture with someone. I don't know the character or something like that, but it was some guy dressed up, maybe in armor or whatever. And she said the smile on her face. She blushed when she took it. She was like, it was the best picture. And I think that made it for her. It's just that one thing. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I told him, like, guys, if you would help me figure out what to do, I wouldn't mind going and cosplaying. I'm just not going to, if it's an anime character, I'm going to have no context as what the fuck's going on, probably.
Yeah.
But like, there was somebody there in a xenomorph costume.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, there's
furries. You can always just be a furry. Just all furries everywhere. Furries are always and never out of place at the same time. You're never surprised you see them there, but then you're like, why the fuck are you here?
Yeah.
But then they get a pass.
So I watched the Dragons finale.
You know what? I haven't
Flight of
seen
Dragons?
any of it yet.
So
I heard that I did see some people were disappointed in the finale.
I was disappointed in the
Damn,
finale too.
you were loving this shit.
Yeah, it
bro.
was so good. It was so good.
Are they doing? I mean, is there a third season?
Oh yeah, at least. But like, the problem is, it was like it was a build up episode, right? Like to like get everything in line to go to war. But it's just the last 3 episodes have been build up episodes, including this one. So it just felt like we were going to get a little bit more payout.
Yeah.
Beforehand. It just is like
Drawn out.
House of Edgelords, you know, is how it felt.
No.
I have one question about it. I'm going to watch it at some point. Is there a time jump again, or is it all on the same time?
On the same time frame. Now, there was important things that happened.
Okay, so they weren't just milking it. Just
No. There was important things that happened, but it's just like it took so long. It took 3 episodes to get us here. Now we're going to war. Armies are massed. We're going to war. But I got to wait probably fucking 2 years.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, to get there. Which is like,
that would get me out of shit.
yeah, now I would have been good. See, I would have been good if they started the battle and shit was going left, and I don't know how the battle ends, and I got to wait 2 years. That kind of stuff, I get off on that. But just like I'm still, it's just like rubbing the base of my dick. It's just like, you know, it's just like trying to get me there the whole time. It just won't let me come. I'm gonna come.
Don't come.
I'm gonna come. So
fucking ridiculous.
So anyway, so yeah, it was disappointing, but I think it's one of those things where like it sucks now, but I feel like when you watch it, you'll be like, what's there to complain about? You know? Anyway, so lastly, I just had this little bit of a fun story. So I went out. I got invited to something. So I try to go if I get invited to something. And I got invited to a buddy of mine's promotional party. He was promoted. He had a party. And
Promotions, funerals, retirements.
And he invited me. And
you go.
I don't really know why, to be honest.
You're not super close, or
No, I mean, we're cool. You know, like
maybe he just knows the vibe you bring.
maybe, but
Maybe the rumors are out there.
just wouldn't have expected it. You know, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll go." And we went. And it was at a Jamaican restaurant, and so I partook in some of the food because I've always wanted to try Jamaican food, but Jamaican food.
You never.
You never even had like jerk chicken before?
Nope, never had jerk
patties,
chicken.
no cocoa
Have you
bread.
now?
So wait for it.
Yeah.
So when I got there,
Plantains?
they had some sort of salad that I passed on. I wasn't in the mood. But they had these like it was some sort of fried salmon with this sauce over top of it. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. Awesome. I'm a fan of this, whatever that is. It was quite good. And then they had jerk chicken and I think curry chicken that were coming out later. And I was like, I'm going to try this. Like, because I've never had either really like official, like, you know, official tissue.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to try both of these because I don't have to pay for it. And it's all... Anyway, by the time that food came out, which wasn't too much longer, to be fair, it wasn't like a service issue, but by the time the food came out, I think it was 116 degrees.
Oh my God. Is this outside? Mm-mm. Oh my God.
And I looked at that chicken and I was like, there's no fucking way I'm eating that hot ass chicken right now. I feel like it's Jamaica in here. So I didn't end up eating jerk or chicken.
You say what you want, but like if I'm in a enclosed space and it's that, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like
So
if we're out, and it happens a lot of time. Like if we go to the mall or something, it seems like sometimes like in Macy's and those places, and those like the clearance rack corners, these little tucked away. It's like Jesus, there's no fucking air moving, and it's just so many people and stagnant.
So I had a good time though. I had a tab going, so that was another thing. It's like, well, I'm already committed to this, and
And you ain't no quitter.
no, definitely not. So I'm putting a few away, and I'm chopping it up with a couple guys that ended up going there that I don't see regularly because I don't really circle in this crowd.
Right,
Like so,
You should
like
get invited.
yeah, but I got fucking invited. Don't know why, but I got fucking invited.
Maybe you get more.
And maybe that's always the goal. So I'm having a good time, and we take a picture together, and then we leave. So
It's just you and Laura.
just Laura and I. Yep, because we had a babysitter. No, Jana was there. Jana was supposed to work. Jana didn't have to work. Her shift got canceled, so we had a babysitter because we were going to have to come home early. But it all worked out. Now, my friends of mine that I do work with, that if somebody were to see me with them, they'd be like, "Oh, well, that all makes sense."
Yeah.
They're all pals. They all work. Everybody knows they're pals. So I found out that they went out on a boat trip on Friday. On Friday, they went out on a boat trip. Didn't know they were going out on a boat
Just your
trip.
normal boat buddies, the ones that
No,
different boat buddies.
different boat, same buddies. And
That's the title for that.
yeah, I'm writing it down. So I find this out Saturday morning, and I'm like, okay. So I get a text from one of my buddies who has a picture of the party that I was at on Friday night with a Mod Podge group of people.
Yeah.
Now you can connect the dots on most of those,
Right.
But me, I'm the oddball out. And they said, if they sent the picture and said, well, if this isn't a motley crew right here. Now, I'm going to read you my response to that because it was well constructed. So I said, truthfully, I just try to attend stuff I'm invited to. Like, for instance, let's say there was I don't know, let me think of a random activity, and then I sent a whole bunch of this emoji with the thinking face with the fingers on the chin.
Yep.
Let's say a boat trip with a lot of my friends, and I didn't have anything planned. I'd try to make it. And then he just sent me this face back. The
yikes.
The yikes face. So that was that. But yeah, those motherfuckers. But yeah, so actually, leading up to it, they called to make sure that we were going to come, like, because I'm going to come.
I'll call before I come. I won't just pop over.
So they called to make sure because they're paying for food for everybody.
Yeah.
So they wanted to call to make sure that confirm our RSVP. And I said to Laura, I was like, I don't know. It was in Hunt Valley or some shit. Like, it was, an hour and some change away. Friday night, rush hour. Like, I was like, I don't know. She's like, we never get invited to anything. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, true. We might as well try to make an effort to be there. Rained its ass off all the way there. And then we actually got a great parking spot. Not the most exciting story in the world, but it was like, how in the hell did I ever get this? It was probably the most luck I've ever had in my life. Getting this parking spot. And then it was like we waited for like 5 minutes. The rain actually stopped. Went into the restaurant. I was like, or maybe my luck. This is it. This is all turning around. Had a good night, whatever. Got back in the car, put it in reverse, put it in drive, downpour. All the way home.
Perfect timing.
Perfectly balanced.
Yeah. And that was it. That was it for my nerd week. So We do have a little bit of notes, but I don't think a whole lot. I did want to talk a little bit more about that Victor Von Doom, Robert Downey Jr. thing from last week. I thought I was thinking this might be a publicity stunt. As this goes on, I'm scared that it might not be a publicity stunt.
What do you mean publicity stunt? That it's not actually going to happen?
Well, yeah.
I don't think they would announce something like that. It's not going to happen.
So I thought it might be a cameo or something. Like they're like leading you to, they're like, now look at the multiverse through time. We have this Doom. We have this Doom. We have this.
Yeah, and you have a Iron Man Doom, and it's not the main.
Correct.
Doom.
I'm scared that they might end up making him
the main Doom.
The Doom, and I got to tell you, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even care on context. I'm out. Like, it's just too much of a money grab, easy,
Pandering.
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Pandering, yes. It's too much for me. So I'm hoping it's just a cameo thing. I'm hoping...
Yeah.
I mean, I can't get disappointed much worse. I've been out for so long that now it's like, when things are bad, I just take it.
Because I like the rumors of Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Maybe there's like 6 Doctor Dooms. I don't know. Maybe it's all fan casted 6 different people, and maybe the guy who's. I mean, we've had 2 different Doctor Dooms in the Fantastic Four universe. Oh, back to Deadpool. Chris Evans. Holy shit, that was
Man,
so fucking great.
Bobby's
well done.
ruined Flame On for me forever. Every time the Flame On thing, I just think about Bobby
Busting a nut.
busting a nut.
Tell my wife, tell me flame on.
Flame on! Flame on!
That's it. It's true. True story. So the only we talked about the Star Wars thing a bit. It just looks kiddie to me.
It does, and honestly, that may be.
Fuck them, kids.
That's the Skeleton Gang on 5 o'clock this afternoon on Fox 54.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It just doesn't look good to me. It doesn't look interesting. It doesn't even look like Star Wars to me. And I think that's one of the problems with a lot of this shit is some of it to me is unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a movie coming out that's a biopic or biopic. I'm still not 100% sure on which one it is. On Milli Vanilli called "Girl, You Know It's True."
I did see that. See that. Yeah.
And I haven't seen the trailer, but I think I'm going to watch these 2 trailers real quick just so we have something to talk about. We got a little bit of time. So, "Girl, You Know It's True," the Milli Vanilli movie. I think it looks good.
Seems interesting.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a theatrical release?
I got that impression.
Yeah.
I guess it's.
They kind of
It seems like paint them as like in a better light, and like they were victims.
They caught a raw deal.
Yeah.
And they ended up kind of being like America's joke for over a decade, but it had nothing to do with them. Like nobody blamed the people that fucking orchestrated the whole fucking thing.
They weren't the mastermind,
Right,
of
not
it.
at all.
They were pawns.
Yeah, and they always had made it pretty clear, like we wanted to do the songs. Like,
Did no one? I mean, I know, I recall this happening because I was alive,
Right.
But what year? It was in the 80s or early 90s.
It was the 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I was kind of around, and I came at 1990.
So I think
from Hong Kong. So did people just not realize they sound different, like
I
when they
think you
talk,
would-
and then
yeah, they didn't realize it. It's just like Adele,
Yeah.
right? Like you hear Adele speak and you hear her sing. She sings like a Southern black woman, but she talks like a white English lady.
Elton John, to an extent, is kind of the same. And you can hear it, but he, and a lot of British people from, other lands, when they sell records in America, they have an American accent.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I always
like
wonder, is that an American accent, or is it when you sing it, accents get voided because of tone? Like maybe too.
I don't know, 'cause like reggae.
So you think about Ed Sheeran, he's British and he sounds British when he sings. I mean, Robbie Williams, some of those guys, but like, I think if they had been more transparent about it, I think it would have been. I just double checked my thought here. CNC Music Factory, right?
Jersey, big Jersey.
Right. Well, like the what's the name of the song? Gonna make you sweat till you bleed.
Yeah,
the girl in the video is not the singer. It's one of the weather girls actually that's singing. It's Raining Men. That song.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but they were transparent about it. It's like she's just the front. And it's just fat older lady that's singing.
That doesn't look as sexy on camera.
Yeah. And I remember there being some stink about body image stuff and like, why would they not let her? Because that wasn't the plan. The plan was, this is our front for you, and then dude's gonna rap. That was it. They were transparent about it.
Yeah.
and yeah, still stink about it. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea who actually sung those songs or if they've ever done anything else of consequence.
Yeah, I don't know either off the top of my head.
But
like, I'm curious about it. You know, the one dude ended up committing suicide,
Yeah.
and everything, you know, like because I remember
there was a I want to say it was a VH1 Behind the Music on them. At
there
some
was
point.
for sure.
Yeah.
And
I'm waiting on the Bobby Boogie Bop.
Milli Vanilli, because I wasn't really, I was too young to kind of be up on it
Right.
when it was
Yeah,
happening.
exactly.
I got tuned into it from In Living Color sketch.
Oh.
And Living Color did a sketch about girl, you know it's girl, you know it's. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they did a sketch, and then I remember saying like, "What is this?" And my dad explaining to me what was going on, who was only aware of it from it being in the newspaper that he was reading. You know what I mean? But then like learning about it as I got older, because it became like the joke. You know, it was like man, like they were fucking victims of this shit. Really, like they were doing what they were told and instructed to do by other people, and it was never their intention. But you know, when
They still made a ton of money, I assume.
so I don't know, but when it was time to, because who the fuck knows the fucking music industry?
Yeah.
But when it was time for people to go to the gallows, it was just them. You know, nobody else really paid for that.
They were frontmen for that too.
Yep. Well put. So and then we just have a question. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. It's I'm good. I read this one ahead of time. So I'm going to be a little honest.
Okay.
I had a hard time following some of it,
Okay.
but I'm going to go for it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is from Kevin K. Kevin Creative.
What up, Kevin K?
And he said, "Hey fellas, hope you and yours are all doing well. Bobby, I attached a link to a song I thought you might like and was curious on your thoughts on it. There are a few fun references between the outfits and lyrics of that song that Joey might get a kick out of. So they're anime references.
Okay.
And I did watch it, not for me. I will say that the person that did this song, to me, without looking into it too deep, I think he's kind of hijacked Playboy Cardi style and is trying to run with it, but he's a bit less interesting.
Who is the artist?
So hold on, I can tell you. It is Cochise, and the song is called Hatchback. It's very successful. 29 million views from 4 years ago.
Oh, from 4 years ago. Okay.
So I did look into that because I was like 4 years ago, and then I looked at Playboy Cardi and I was like, oh no, Playboy Cardi was 7-8 years ago when he started popping up. So anyway, wasn't for me. Hypothetical. You're captured by the Decepticons. Megatron says either you help the Decepticons win the war against the Autobots or he'll blast you on the spot. As the sweat drips from your face from the heat of the charged fusion cannon ready to fire, you start to think this guy means business. If you decide to help the Decepticons, they win. All of the Autobots are dead, and humanity is enslaved. However, Megatron rewards your hard work by allowing you and your immediate family to be his pets. Would you help the Decepticons or sacrifice your...
I mean, I don't think you have much of it. Yes, I would, because I'm going to die otherwise. And what does it does? It accomplishes nothing. Me dying. If I can hang around, I might be able to do something at some point. But
to anyone who knows me well, you would know that that's a nice way to go.
Yeah, fusion cannon.
Immediate, painless. I don't want to be here in the first place. So thanks, Megatron.
Such heroic nonsense.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be in a Decepticon ruled world, and my sense of self is. It's too locked in. I'd rather go.
Is it movie Megatron or G1 Megatron?
I don't know.
Does this make a difference?
Is it a tank or is he turned into a gun?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather die. Chris, have you seen the Jax Pacific's Simpsons figures? The radioactive man looks pretty sick.
I have seen them. Actually, I did a podcast last week promoting going to this show I went to, and someone on there had gotten them. Yeah, they're fine. I've got them though. I've just, in case no one here knows, I have a complete set of all the carded figures from The Simpsons, all loose except just several, and I'm missing 2 play sets to be 100% complete, but they're like 4 or 5. I haven't looked lately, maybe $600, $700 $100 plate.
Wow.
Oh my God.
It was like the last series. I think it might even be like a KB Toys exclusive deal toward their end of their run. It's not Frank Grimes. That's from Walking Dead. Rick Grimes and the nuclear plant break room.
Rick Grimes is Walking Dead.
Right, it's Frank Grimes.
Frank Grimes, okay.
And then there's a Jebediah Springfield playset. It's not like the big city. I have that. It's just like it's
Springfield, the
statue, and then it's some playset with that. But they don't pop up very often. I know I knew one place where they did have one of them, and it was 400. But this is several years ago. But yeah, so. I haven't really looked deep into them, but I did see the carded ones, and they look nice, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
I have the quintessential Simpsons collection.
Yeah, that's fair. Is there any character that's like they never made that you'd be like, well, if they did a so and so,
unless it's something.
I know they had a huge run.
Oh God, it's I think it's over 100 figures. I mean, yeah, there's like 14 Homers, and there's Brain Freeze Bar. There's all the different ones, and there's even some stuff like I have a Bongo. Bongo did the comics, like a Bongo 3-pack that does not show up on any checklist anywhere.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it was some obscure. It was like 3 of the. They were like I think. Homer was like a Hulk kind of character. It was some sort of
interesting.
It might have just been something from it, but I can't think of anything. I mean, unless it was something more modern, but the modern Simpsons isn't. It's still good. It's not as good as the mid '90s, early 2000s.
Right. He said, lastly, he's attached a few visuals from his YouTube channel. He just wanted to show off, so I'll show those there.
Cool.
I will say,
Interesting.
This guy looks a lot like the guy that my mom claims is my older brother. That my dad or my grandma said that woman never proved anything.
That's timely.
Yeah, he looks a lot. He looks a lot like. Actually, let me pull it up because I think
That's wild.
Yeah.
Side family, bro.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Is your dad someone's side grandpa?
Hold on, here we go. Okay,
Side.
all right. So here, I'm gonna show him again.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Oh, no doubt.
Shit!
Almost to a fault.
my God.
With the head and the angle and all that's good stuff.
It's crazy. And then there's some other little stuff he's done in there. So
I like it.
Good stuff.
Well, hey Bobby, if people do want to send in a question,
I'm glad you asked, Chris.
You can email us at nerdrageradiomail@gmail.com.
And then he said, thanks for reading my messages, and I hope you and your families have a great day. Much love. And much love to you
love,
as
man.
well.
awesome. Thank you, man.
Anybody have anything else? Or we want to call it a short show?
Is it short? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Oh, we did the top 5.
We did a top
We did a
five.
top 5, so it took up some morning. No, it's just nothing really.
Maybe we'll see each other next week. Maybe we won't.
Yeah, there's a chance we will. Oh, no, because you're going on vacation.
It's we'll talk.
Okay.
There's some wiggle.
There's a
wiggle.
What was I gonna say? There. Oh yeah, leave us a 5-star somewhere if you haven't. We appreciate it.
That's right.
I'll just come up and give us 5 stars.
I'm gonna come.
What was it we were saying during the top 5? Somebody should send us something to do. I don't remember what it was.
Oh yeah.
It was so long.
Oh,
Trump board game.
No,
the Trump board game.
Yeah, the Trump board game. But then there was another one we were talking about. Oh, the best F words to make a movie PG-13 or PG-13 F words.
Yeah, the one effort.
Yeah, the one F word in it. So shout out to Dante on Facebook. Shout out to Maryland Phil on our dude Maryland Phil. We should talk about Maryland Phil for a bit. Getting his picture signed by all those cosplay girls. And
It's top of the week, bro.
that dude is something else, man. Gotta love him. But that one,
That's just Disneyland.
Phil, one of them pictures you put up on it's Metalla Phil. Follow him on Instagram. But one of those pictures he put up, I'm like, man, there's a college thesis waiting to be written to this photograph.
That's funny.
This speaks volumes. What a guy. Anyway, shout out to Phil for our notes and on Twitter. And with that,
Flappy Labius.
Tasty taint.
tight dick player.